We got to move on to the tax-exempt status of the NFL. This is something that Abby Martin spoke about on RT, and I think she did a pretty good job. Take a look.
Despite the fact that the National Football League's 32 teams rake in an estimated $9.5 billion annually, the organization is actually considered a nonprofit by the IRS. How are they doing this? Well, as I've covered on the show before, the NFL is registered as a 501c6 and given tax-exempt status because it's supposed to support the industry as a whole. But you usually don't find the leaders of nonprofits raking in tens of millions of dollars in salary. In 2011, tax forms showed NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell taking home almost $29.5 million, triple the salary from the year before. But robbery under the guise of sports support isn't just happening at the federal level. City governments allot taxpayer funds, to build massive sports stadiums. Take, for instance, the current Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks. Their home stadium, CenturyLink Field, came with a price tag of $560 million, 70% of which was paid for by Seattle residents. And more often than not, a local government's commitment to their team will go far beyond building the stadium. We're talking about maintenance operations, waste, utilities. So, while professional sports seem like merely a lighthearted distraction from the world's economic woes, don't forget that they're robbing you just the same.
Wow, some interesting arguments there, especially when you consider taxpayer dollars that go into building these massive stadiums. Heather, do you think the economics here work out? Is it worth it for the host city to have this big event, especially considering the fact that this is considered a nonprofit entity?
Super Bowl, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know as far as on the books if it works out economically, but I know, having just gotten home from the Super Bowl, that we were sheep to consumerism. I mean, if there were lines to get in stores to buy merchandise. You couldn't keep it on the shelves. Everything that the NFL offered to do, people were lined up, waving their money to go do it. And so I don't know what it does for the city. I know 111 million people watched it. I know there were 80,000 seats, 80,000 more people. How many of those came in to New York? But it had to have done something for the economy.
Right. I mean, it leads to tourism.
Sure.
People go to the city just to watch the game. So that obviously brings in a ton of money. But I mean, the thing that I'm kind of stuck on is the idea that this is a nonprofit organization when they make so much in revenue, $9.5 billion annually. How do you explain that?
I don't know.
I really don't.
I mean, the way they could do it is they could, and you know, they got help from whoever was in office at the time to let that happen. I don't know what the threat would be for the NFL if you took it away. You're going to go play in Mexico? I don't think so. Yeah. You're here. Right. So, you know, and it's a, you know, and then there's just this instinctive outrage that you got Roger Goodell making nearly $30 million a year as the head of a nonprofit organization. I mean, it's amazing. It's so ridiculous. But like, take Seattle, for example, and granted they didn't host the Super Bowl, but they built that stadium. They played in a terrible place before. Did you ever play in the Kingdom?
No, I didn't.
They played in an indoor stadium. It was, you know, it was very outdated. It was built for the Mariners and the Seahawks in the mid-'70s when they both got two expansion teams there. And so, look, if they don't build that stadium there, they will move. They'll go somewhere else. So that's the threat. And now you look at Seattle, and could you find 100,000 residents of Seattle who don't care about the Super Bowl? I doubt it. Like that city. Yeah. Like that city, it matters. It's a thing. It brings people together. They talk about it. You know, if you lived in Seattle, you don't really care about football. My hunch is this year, you'd been like, it's Sunday. I'm going to go watch the Seahawks with friends. You know, it's a thing.
Seattle got their basketball team taken right out from underneath them not that many years ago.
Because they couldn't. Now they went and they got approval to build a stadium. They almost then came back, took a team from Sacramento, which somehow in the last second managed to hold on to that team.
Did something similar happen to Los Angeles recently? Are we building a new stadium here?
Well, Los Angeles lost two teams after the 1995 season, 94 and 95.
I'm
they
sure
lost
there's
both
going to
teams.
be an LA team here soon.
I mean, I remember when the commissioner, Paul Tagliabue, resigned before Roger Goodell, or not resigned, retired. He was saying his worst mistake was never to have a team in Los Angeles. How much money the NFL would lose, you know, how much money they would make because of the team would be in Los Angeles, how much revenue and merchandise, and just like how much, and just realized that, I guess, kind of a loss that he should have actually had an expansion team in Los Angeles.
Well, I was talking with Steven prior to this, and he brought up a good point, which is the threat of moving a team to Los Angeles is actually working out in the favor of current cities.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because we're here and available for a team, and say Minnesota Vikings, who are getting a new stadium, oh, you don't want to build a new stadium? We'll take the team to Los Angeles.
Totally. It's got
So
the
us
Vikings
being wide
stadium.
open,
Yeah.
is really.
That said, it's hard to believe the NFL is going to go another decade and a half without a team in the number 2 market in the country.
And Steve Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, just bought 60 acres in downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, the Rams owner just he is I think it was not in downtown. It's out by Inglewood, out by the Forum.
Oh.
But it's still 60 acres where there could be a stadium, a logical place for the stadium from a traffic point of view, and the Rams have a lease deal that could have a history, or they have a lease deal that could get them out. What's happening with that is that it's almost like both sides, meaning the NFL owners who want to move and the people who would build a stadium, they're both waiting for the other one to start. Like, if they build a stadium here, if somehow they get approval and start construction of a stadium, there'll be 2 NFL teams here. And just like the Jets and the Giants, they'll share the stadium. There'll be a game every Sunday. It will be a traffic nightmare if it's downtown.
The traffic isn't bad already.
And they may build it downtown, but if it's in Inglewood, you know, that for some, I don't know.
It's somewhere
I don't go
between
downtown
Inglewood and
anyways.
downtown. It was 60 acres, and Walmart sold it to them.
Yeah,
so it
Walmart
was
sold it
probably originally going to be some giant
Because
one.
they beat back having a Walmart superstore here in Los Angeles, but they won't beat back the NFL having a team here. That turns out there's something more powerful than the Walton family, and it may be the National Football League. So at some point there'll be a team here, and I think once there's one team here, there'll be 2. And I'm just gonna Jaguars and Rams.
All right.
What about the Bills, man? The Bills,
Maybe, but I mean that'd be terrible. Like for a city like Buffalo to lose a team that mattered. Like they don't have anything else. Well, they got the Sabres, but I mean,
up and leaving the night like the Baltimore Colts.
right? That's the Buffalo Bills. They matter to Buffalo, and it would be.
Which goes back to what we're talking about of bringing everybody together. You know,
Yeah,
a city that would be devastated to lose a team.
I'm from Cleveland. We lost LeBron, and the city went down the drain. So just imagine a whole sports team.
Well, you lost a sports team too. You got it back, but you did lose it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, fair enough. Many of the references made in this segment went right over my head. I have no idea what these teams are, what they do, but it is interesting to see. It is interesting to see what will happen to Los Angeles, because obviously we have an issue with the budget in California, specifically in Los Angeles. Our LAUSD system sucks. We're not funding education nearly enough. We have a problem with homelessness. But if this is something that will stimulate the economy, it'll obviously be something that we'll report on, because I'm very curious to see how it all works out after everything's said and done.